Hi, in this video we are going to see about the default arguments in Python. So why we are in need of a default argument? Before creating a function, we should know what are all the requirements of the function. So based on that, we can have the default arguments at the time of function definition itself. So the function definition have the arguments that can increases the flexibility of the code, readability of the code, and then it enhances the usability where we can able to work with multiple parameters. So how we can define the default arguments? So it should have the predefined values. Predefined value means it should be the argument should be have the values to be initialized at the time of um, declaration itself. That is the predefined values for the function parameters. And then we can have the default arguments that are specified with the value that are assigned to the parameter. And then by using this default arguments, it simplifies function call and reduces the code reusability. So how to use this default arguments? We can use the function that allow to be called with or without the parameter. So having the default argument is not the mandatory one. We can either have within our function or we can neglect while using the function. So it depends on the function where and how we use for that. And then we can have the multiple default parameters. So it should be defined at the end of the parameter list. Next, the order of parameters. So the non-default parameters must be preceding before the default parameters. The non-default parameters are the have the constant values that change during the execution of the program. But the default parameters values, if it is initialized once, then the values cannot be changed throughout the program. So it can have the function with one or two arguments, add x comma y equal to 20. So here the x value that changes throughout the function, but the y value remains constant throughout the function. So we can have n number of arguments within the function definition itself. So how many parameters that are used in the function definition, the same number of parameters to be used at the function call also. So it should, the count or the values does not mismatch or change even with the data type also. So the function of overloading also have the default arguments where it can simulate the function overloading and manages various cases with the single function. And then we can able to use the mutable types like list or dictionaries as default arguments. So these mutable types are have their own argument values, and then it can prolong and persist across the future call. So it may lead to bugs also. So these are all some of the drawbacks while using the default arguments. And then the readability issues also occur. So when we go for overusing the default arguments, then the function become more and more harder to read, and then we cannot able to balance the flexibility among the arguments, and the clarity is not at all essential over there. So these are all some of the drawbacks while using the default arguments. And then while we going to choose the default values, so here it should use the context of the function, and then it enhance the usability and reduce the errors to avoid confusion among the users. And then the function behavior, the purpose of the default arguments is to be outlined, where each default value is the aid to other developers. So based on that, the developers may extend the program or extend their function, and then they can able to fix within their particular concepts. and then it should avoid the complex logic. So avoid implementing code features more and more, and then the argument definition provides more clarity among the functions. So by using the default arguments in Python, the advantages are it should enhance the usability, and then it promotes the clean and code practices, and then it improves the maintainability. Thank you.